The Game Awards has come and gone, and it has been as terrible as we expected. Now, both a lot of game journalists, that's a thing, and game developers have already criticized the Game Awards for a lot of different reasons, but it all boils down to, might as well just call it the Winter Game Fest and move on, because the awards weren't really that big of a thing. But I want to talk about it from more of a gamer's perspective, from more of just a regular audience, just a person who plays games that watches the show, because for me, as one of those, it was also very bad. Like, overall, it just kept being the same thing that it's always been. It's kind of a small cringe fest of people that are kissing up to Hollywood when they aren't busy just showering Kojima with praise, telling some weird jokes, and promoting new games and selling ads. It did improve in a couple of ways. Some of the things were better, some of them were less cringe, some of the production value went up, and it was kind of better paced. But the awards still didn't matter, so it's confusing to watch the Game Awards to see what the new games are. We've always known that the awards are the least important part, but the way the awards were treated this time around, it was kind of like telling us directly, this is the stupid part. This is the part you don't like. You come to the Game Awards because the awards are not important. Here's a trailer. World premiere. And I think this would be a pretty good show if it just didn't contain the awards, but the fact that it does is what makes it so insulting. But the big topic here is that we deserve better as an awards show. I've seen so many people say, but it doesn't matter. It's just a dumb awards ceremony that people watch for the trailers. And that's what's disgusting about it. Everything is up to opinions, and I'm just giving mine. I think that a medium, something like film or music or literature or whatever you want, is represented not only by the greatest works in that, but it's represented by the culture that surrounds it, including its fans and the award ceremonies that it has. The fact that the Game Awards is so bad as our big representative of gaming awards hurts us as a community because we deserve better. To a lot of people, it's a window into gaming, and it means something to a lot of people as a big event, even if they're not really that much in the weeds in the gaming world. So it is this big representative, and it's supposed to be important if a studio wins Game of the Year. It's supposed to be the Game of the Year award, the one that's a consensus between all of the journalists, but the entire event that surrounds these awards, it represents us like a bunch of people who are obsessed with Hollywood and will clap at Anthony Mackie being annoying, who love the idea of watching more trailers for things to consume and are somehow allergic to celebrating, clapping, or listening to the people who make the wonderful things we love. And I don't want to be put in that boat. I don't want to be considered a person who is into that. And I don't want the gaming medium to be represented by something like that in our awards shows. But because the Game Awards is the self-nominated big representative of the industry, this is the shit we have to take. And that's why I will not shut up about it. But definitely next year and the year after that, I will continue to complain about the Game Awards until we have a better awards show or until it improves. Because I fight for everything related to games, be that against predatory practices and bad products, or championing great practices and great games. We deserve a better thing. And I'm sorry if it bothers people, but I'm going to keep complaining and fighting for it until we get it. One of the other really stupid things is that, aside from the economic aspect of selling slots to actually make its money back and put on this whole pony show, has this really strong emphasis on showing us new games and big trailers under the guise that that's what we need to keep people watching. If we don't have big announcements and cool things to show people, people won't watch it. Like, we are just incapable of holding attention if it's about the games we love instead of what is the new shiny thing. Like, we're a toddler and we just got bored with our toy. But as much as it tries to sell us on that idea of we need to put out trailers and stuff to keep you guys entertained because otherwise you walk away and like stomp into a wall or some shit, and how they justify that to be like, well, we need like 5 minutes for trailers, but also you get 30 seconds for your Game of the Year acceptance speech. Then they give us like a 6-minute interview with Kojima and Jordan Peele. There's no real trailer. The trailer they show has no real gameplay, doesn't say anything about anything. And Jordan Peele and Kojima are there taking no questions from Jeff. They're just being cagey about the game. It's like, it's gonna be amazing. It's gonna be the craziest thing you've ever seen. It's a transformative thing. Okay, but what's it about? It's being transformative. Jordan Peele, such a genius. Kojima, such a genius. So we can pay attention to 6 minutes of absolutely nothing. But we are not capable of paying attention to a 2.5-minute acceptance speech by somebody who made the biggest game of the year? Are you kidding me? We can't be invested in what is a great story of how Sven Vink made Larian, and as a completely independent studio, even though the Game Awards fails to recognize that, made Baldur's Gate 3 and put out a game, and it was made through COVID and through the hardships of COVID. That's not interesting to us. It's much cooler to hear Kojima be like, this will be the most transformative game that you have ever seen because I'm making it with the power of the cloud. Fuck off. Have some respect. Don't label your awards show an awards show where you're going to try and give respect and honor the great games that people have made if you don't have respect for the people. And yes, Jeff did say, well, we have to cut down on the music. I've heard a lot of criticism that people thought that the acceptance speeches were just a little too short, and it was pressuring and kind of nerve-wracking to see people kind of pushed off of the stage. Jeff, take the hint. Take the hint, we're not toddlers. I know you have to keep the thing financially stable or whatever, but give us an award show and not glorified E3 with your personal preferences of giving developers ample time to talk about stuff and then no awards. Now, I'm going to keep it a little bit more casual from here because I already yelled and made a fool of myself on the internet as I am wont to do. But musical guests. On point. Good job. I've worked in this industry before, and getting good live music is very difficult, and to get it done well in these circumstances and stream it is impressive. Awesome job. Sounded good. All of the musical performances were entertaining, and there was a lot of work put behind them. I just find it funny that Sam Lake got to spend more time on stage performing in a musical than he did talking about the awards that he and his team was receiving, which are long overdue and have so many interesting things to talk about in the legacy that Remedy has as a studio. Speaking of those awards, this year it felt a lot more like the Oscars in awards. I still have an overall complaint of how the award show is structured, how many nominees are present, and how they choose to nominate games. This is probably the best year in gaming ever. And that's saying a lot. And if you just looked at the nominees for the Game Awards, you'd think it's a pretty average year. And that's because a lot of the amazing things that happened this year are thanks to the quantity of games. It's not just that the quality was all very high, it's that there were so many games. And limiting 6 nominees and overly nominating certain games and finding ways to put games again in other categories just makes it feel like it was less than it was. But they did do the whole Oscar type thing where it's like, we're gonna give Alan Wake 2 Best Director and Baldur's Gate 3 Game of the Year. Whether that's fair or not, the reality is that it feels like we're giving Sam Lake an award because of all of his ideas that he's had over so many years that have never had the opportunity to be properly recognized within Remedy and trying to do different stuff with games and succeeding at it. And Alan Wake 2 is an incredible game, but there's a lot of legacy coming in for Sam Lake in getting that award when the better game is Baldur's Gate 3, even though if, in my opinion, we're just looking at the merits of how difficult it must be to direct a game, given these circumstances, I think that Baldur's Gate 3 is probably a more difficult game to direct and something that deserves more praise. So it's that baggage from Sam Lake. And hey, I'm not completely opposed to this. I am unabashedly a Baldur's Gate 3 fanboy. I think it's an incredible game for many, many reasons. But I love Sam Lake. I love Remedy so much, and I think it's nice to see them get some proper recognition. Also, Zelda deserved Best Action Adventure, but not Best Game of the Year, so I'm kind of satisfied with that split. It's been such a great year. And much like Baldur's Gate 3, both of those games have a very special place in my heart, so. And talking about the trailers, the truth is that they were pretty good this year. Yeah, we didn't get Elden Ring, which was the one everybody was expecting, but we did get Monster Hunter, and that's another one of like my top 5 things that I love to play, so getting close to Monster Hunter 6, I even thought about making the typical reaction video to it and talking about how much we can learn from the trailer. There's a lot. There's a lot of reaction videos as well. I've watched a lot of them. They don't talk about the things that matter. But anyways, Monster Hunter 6 was a great final surprise, and there were a ton of very interesting trailers that I think are worth shouting out. I have a list. So these are things that I think were maybe less talked about, but are really cool that happened. Metaphor. Persona is a really big deal. This is going to be a really big deal. Pony Island 2. All for it. The Rise of the Golden Idol looks like an interesting thing. Arknights graduating from gacha game. Those things can always go either way, but I'm hopeful it goes in the good direction. Kind of like Granblue. Windblown coming from the Dead Cells devs. Great stuff. World of Goo 2. I think about the Tomorrow Corporation, about World of Goo and Little Inferno a lot, so it's great to see them back. Exodus, which is that Matthew McConaughey thing, I guess is okay. I have no idea what it is, but it exists. Hellblade's trailer, from a direction perspective, the way that the trailer is done is incredible. If you didn't pay a lot of attention to it, go back. If you're somebody who appreciates like good trailer work, it's just great. It's an amazing direction for everything in that trailer, with an incredible voice performance as well. I have no idea what Kemuri is, but I think that Tango Gameworks continues to prove that people from Tango Gameworks have a lot of talent and have like developed in a very special circumstance of talent, much like things from Platinum Games. So an ex-alum of Tango Gameworks making a game that's urban, modern, parkour infused with demons, totally my jam. Very cringe interaction though. No Rest for the Wicked, which is Moon Studios, the Ori developers' new game. That looks amazing. I'm really excited to see what that is because I have a lot of faith in that studio. Sega bringing back 5 classic games, new spins on them. We don't know too much about them, but stuff there are things to be criticized. I don't like the art style in the new Jet Set. The new Crazy Taxi's art style just kind of looked very drab, but these are obviously very early prototypes, and I'm hoping that Sega, with this embracing their Dreamcast energy, which is like a dream come true for a lot of people, will also embrace criticism when people tell them, hey, it should be changed around a bit. But it bodes well for Sega to be trying this stuff out, because they've had a lot of hits recently and they're dealing with the creative assembly situation. Maybe it's turning a new leaf and Sega's on the up. Visions of Mana looks great, but I am also an RPG guy, so really excited for that. Rise of the Ronin, Team Ninja, that looks really good, and it's one of the reasons that it's kind of solidifying my need to buy a PS5. I think that we're gonna have enough exclusives to justify it, at least timed exclusives. I need a next-gen console for GTA. I really want to play Final Fantasy VII. Rise of the Ronin looks really good, so I guess it's time to bite the bullet. I would never really buy it on a personal note if I weren't making content, so remember to like and subscribe. I think Blade is a perfect fit for Arcane Leon, and I think that it could be incredible. Light No Fire, which is the new Hello Games game, I think is going to be massive. I think that they squandered all of the potential of No Man's Sky with the release, but everybody who has played that game since, as it has continued to evolve, and all of the support, is just an amazing amount of support that they've put into No Man's Sky over the years, shows that these guys now know what they're doing, and they're very experienced in creating these sorts of games. I think Light No Fire is going to come out in a really good state, and people now know the track record. We're ready to forgive and forget the mistakes that they made with No Man's Sky and give Light No Fire an honest chance. And it sounds like a dream game because it seems to combine a lot of the Valheim-like resources and building stuff that I love so much with a fantasy world that looks really well crafted. It's got a vibe to it that I really like, and I think it could really hit. Guilty Gear 3v3 is cool. That's a good thing to get. The Finals is a game. It still has those issues with how they're using AI for a lot of their resources in the game, but it's a damn good first-person shooter that I also have made a video talking about how I think it could have some really good future perspectives, let's say. And I'm excited to play a little bit of it. My video production schedule is jam-packed with stuff, but I do want to find the time to just play the finals for myself without making any content on it. So I'll try and do that. So that's just my take on a lot of the stuff, maybe things that other people haven't mentioned as much. Just to close out an overly long video about how we deserve better, and we really do. Remember to like the video if you agree that we deserve better, and subscribe for a ton more content. That's pretty much it. I've been Mug Thief. Thank you so much for watching. Games continue to be great, but there's a lot of bullshit around it, and I have to talk about it sometimes. And I'll see you all very soon.